Good evening and welcome to Live Long and Podcast, the channel that is dedicated to everything Star Trek, but mostly reviewing shows, I guess.
And living long.
And living long and perhaps prospering. Now we're here to, obviously, as you can see by the ticker down here, we're here to give us a reaction here for Picard Season 2, Episode 1, The Stargazer. And of course, I'm joined here with awesome Davan Skelhorn. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's a two-man show, but we're both
You know what?
legends
We are
in our own
taking
right.
this. We're taking this over. That's what we're
Exactly.
doing. You know what? We don't have no Dave.
Nope.
Adam, unfortunately, is away right now. You know what? We're taking this over. This is ours now. So we can do whatever we want. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to review it? Or do you want to just show like random clips on the internet and stuff?
We could rename the show. We could rename the whole brand.
Rename everything? Just do it all?
Yeah.
Just change it?
Yeah.
It'd be like the Davan Show? Just call it the Davan Show? What do you think?
Yeah. No, that's a bit much. We can have a J in there at least. Davin and J.
All right. The D and J.
Yeah,
D&J show.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's get on to it because nobody really wants to hear us anyway, let's be honest. So what were your initial thoughts on this show? I thought it was fantastic. I got some pictures here, by the way.
It's probably better than any episode of the previous season, other than maybe the Riker and Deanna episode, which was great. But
that was a good episode. Yeah, for sure.
But it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course,
I do have concerns, but we'll get to that later. Let's talk about
I as well. Maybe they're the same concerns. So we're going to see. I know Dave had some concerns, but unfortunately, he couldn't join us tonight. He's got to prior
at the
engagement.
discotheque.
He's got to deal with the disco, which I don't know if Adam's on that one or not, but Adam's traveling for work, so he might not be on either one of them. And there's a time delay as well for him. Not, mind you, you have a time delay too, technically, compared to us, right? Because you're, what time is it there where you are?
9.
See, it's only 8 here for me, so there you go. Anyway, let's just get right into it and get started because nobody really wants to hear us rant.
The title, awesome, The Stargazer.
The Stargazer, and it makes more sense the further you get along in the show. So we open up really with essentially an attack scene. We have this obviously this is a good corridor shot. The one thing that I instantly got the impression of, which I think you probably did as well, is production value. Like right off the bat, right? So we had that. We also have what we're seeing is all these different Starfleet people. We don't know what ship we're on yet. We don't know any of this stuff. All we know is that they're under attack. I really love the subtle scene here in the turbo lift because literally it's chaos. They get into the turbo lift and then it's quiet for a second.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the attack continues, right? But we see, obviously a Vulcan here who's bleeding like nuts. Actually, it could be Romulan, I guess, technically, right? Well, actually, no, it wouldn't have been.
No, I think they say Eleanor is the first one.
Because Eleanor is the first one, right? So, yeah, anyway. So, obviously, it's...
Other than poor Simon Tarsis.
Of course. We also see green phaser blasts, which instantly, to me, said something. But, what did it say to you? Did you instantly know who this was? That was attacking?
No, I didn't make any assumptions actually.
Oh, really? Okay, I automatically did, but
I was distracted.
My first thought was actually wrong, though.
I was slightly worried that they were starting with a big action scene because that's usually not a good sign.
Yeah, that kind of bothered me a bit.
As soon as the 48 hours earlier thing came up, I felt better. I'm like, okay, they're just doing one of those. That's
exactly.
Fine.
And we see all of a sudden a tentacle jump into a console. We're like, whoa, what's going on here? And then instantly after this,
come to think of it, then I did think of who.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like Borg, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where we're at here. We're at Borg. And then obviously we see Jean-Luc. He's obviously in a panic. He's not having a good time. He's under attack. Okay, so, but we have no idea where he is. We have no idea what ship he's on. We don't know why he's even here. We have nothing to go on here other than we have this really cool attack scene. production values through the roof. Like we're talking like movie level production value here. They did a really good job, I thought. Overall, sold me on it. We also see Dr. Girardi, who is obviously in a panic as well. We have some awesome consoles, but the cool thing about the consoles, I thought, was the fact that they're being disrupted. So that led me to believe even more and more that we had a Borg type thing going on here. And then we have obviously Rios. And Rios, I caught on immediately that number one, he's in a Starfleet uniform, which is obviously a little different than what we last saw him at. So at this point, I'm not sure how far we are in the future.
And he's a captain.
And he's a captain. So yeah, it's, what's going on here, right? You get any thoughts on this? Because I instantly, when I saw Rios in the Starfleet outfit, I thought to myself, oh, I don't know how I like this idea.
I did like it, actually.
You did? Okay.
Because they did say in the previous season and show a bit of his backstory, and he was very much a rising through the ranks officer. Like he was already,
and then
like him being kind of a young captain kind of makes sense. I'm not that young either. He's got great.
Yeah, at this point we see him. He looks professional, obviously, as well as he can be in this scenario. So
I like he's got the cigar still, though. He's just like
the cigar is the best part. We don't see it here. We get to see the cigar a little bit later on. But yeah, no, it's obviously at this point he's probably dropped the cigar. And of course we have Seven. Seven's here, and she is clearly in a panic. She's not happy. This is bad, right? So
Borg.
Yeah, we got, well, obviously she's probably the worst to see, the Borg. And then we see a bright light, we see a figure behind said light, and we see them looking at Picard. At this point we're like, who is that? And then we go to credits. Now the credits itself I thought was really interesting. I only grabbed a couple scenes of the credits that I wanted to discuss. But the thing I liked, did you like the new tone of the music? Because the music's a little bit more, what's the word? Well,
like subdued a bit, maybe. It seems to be
no, it's the opposite. I think it's actually, well, I don't know when the last time you heard the intro to the first season, but the first season was very mellow, right?
Yeah,
it was very subdued.
A lot of strings.
This is a little bit more orchestral. It still has a lot of the subtle undertones going on, but overall, the one thing I really liked is the fact that they have modified the visuals. So the visuals of the intro, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of cool extra stuff that they've added in.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Prodigy intro, actually.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly, for sure. But I like this at this point, an unknown ship. We don't know what this is, but quite interesting. It's opening up. It's got that kind of claw thing, and you're kind of our ship expert, let's be honest, on this channel. So, what were your thoughts on that ship when you first saw that?
Well, that it was a Borg Queen ship.
You thought immediately it was Borg Queen. See, I didn't. That's the funny thing.
Here, right?
You got one, do you? Oh, here, let's bring up your.
So it looks like that, just kind of like opening its like, just like opening its wings, kind of thing. But yeah, it's the first thing I thought. Borg Queen ship.
Put you on the wrong one.
He's getting rid of me.
I have no idea how to move you. How do I?
You just you just click and drag it.
Click and drag. That didn't work. All right. Well, we'll have to figure that one out.
Jody's new at this.
I am a terrible host. Well, I'm a host, but I'm not a good one. Let's put it that way. Dave runs this console, and it shows, quite honestly. So yeah, I have no idea why I can't move you. Why is that? Oh, maybe it's this thing here. Solo layout. Oh, there we go. See now, show us your ship. Where's that ship that you just showed me? There we go.
The Borg, the Queen.
Oh, there you go. That looks all right. Sweet.
So, yeah, so it look like that.
Yeah,
because it has that thing in the middle, like has a small glowing kind of sphere in the middle of it.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. There was a couple of really interesting things that they added to the intro, which it looks like what they're going to do is they're going to modify the intro for every season to kind of reflect the season. This one here, and we got this from the trailer. This is all about time. Like this season is time. That's what it is. It's not about the synthetics. Well, obviously they're going to play a part, I'm sure, but this is really about time, and that's something that we see a lot of. I love this little scene here, which appears to be Rios' ship. What's the name of it now? The
La Serena,
something like that.
Yeah,
La Serena. So the La Serena just kind of flying through, and the thing I really like now, I don't actually know if this was in the first season or not. I just liked it and grabbed a shot of it because it looked really cool, I thought. But the next one, really, that's a new shot from what I understand, and
that's the one that reminds me of Prodigy.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool shot. But what I liked even more is the fact that it transitions into this hourglass, which obviously is our time theme. Very cool. And if you actually look really close into the glass of the hourglass, you can see some extra little images in there as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Now this shot here I thought was really cool, which I don't think a lot of people picked up on. But if we look at it, this is actually the back of the person that's standing on the bridge that we don't know yet who it is, but that is somebody that we are going to figure out eventually, I'm sure.
Such a funny line actually when that character shows up. There's like, oh, that's new.
Oh, that's new. Yes, Jody says that. Funny. Yeah. Which I honestly didn't annoy me nearly as much as I thought she would. They seem to have kind of tightened up her writing a bit, which is nice.
They tightened up everything. Anyway. Like I felt like they paid
everything feels like it's been it's been massaged a bit better, right? At least that's my theory.
But again, that brings me back to my concern. I think I'm just gonna have to get that
and I think you have the same concern as me. So whenever your concern comes up, you let me know.
All right, here's my concern. I'm going to get it out of the way now. Rip it off like a Band-Aid.
All right, why not?
Two things. The timey-wimey stuff could be a downfall for this season. Usually I don't like the timey-wimey stuff as much. And what I think they achieved in this episode, I worry they may leave behind. I feel like they finally nailed the aesthetic. I mean, I loved seeing the Stargazer and all these. Like instead of having like a fleet of the same ship, they actually put the attention to detail and had different ships.
Yes, yeah. They addressed a lot of the fan problems that we had. The fact that the cookie cutter cut and paste ships that we had in the scene with Riker in the first season. A lot of people that really hit people the hard way. I understand why it was done.
It didn't seem to have the attention to detail. It just seemed rushed.
No, it was just kind of thrown in, or at least it felt that way. But the thing that bothers me about this, even though I love this episode, you're probably going to find it in my ratings later on. I liked it more than Dave did. I already have his rating. So I liked it more than Dave did, but he still gave it a pretty solid rating, I thought, for what it was. But yeah, I had the exact same problem. The thing that I'm worried about is the fact that we started off the first season pretty sweet as well. It really kind of started pretty decent.
First episode quite a bit.
Yeah, the first episode was really hard hitting. So I'm hoping they keep this momentum up. I hope we're not. I like the pacing of this episode. I thought the pacing was fantastic. It's not as fast as Discovery, as I was chatting earlier. Not as fast as Discovery, and not as slow as a lot of the other stuff that we've had. So I like that. I find Discovery is a little too fast at times. You kind of brushes over some of the cool stuff. And then you have some of the, you have super slow stuff as well, which, this is a nice, good pace. I thought I was never bored of any of the scenes. They kind of hit long enough for me. The only scene I think went a little far. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The only scene that I thought was dragged out a little bit too much was the scene that's going to be coming up, which is Picard and the Romulan girl, Laris. Yeah, Laris.
I like
that scene. Like it's great. It tugs on the heartstrings a bit, which is great. But I thought it was a little far. Like it just ran a little long. It could have been a less 30 seconds, and I would have been happy. It got to the point that at the end of that scene, I was just like, "Oh, good, it's over now. We're moving."
I think that's going to be overall a main through line through the season, and they were just really focusing on it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But like I say, I just worry that that aesthetic they achieved is going to disappear.
Yeah, the other thing I
now they're
also
back
like,
in the past, and now they're just on some adventure, and all that thing that
yeah,
really made
and
it feel like a
well,
Star Trek episode might be left
we're not even
behind.
totally in the past yet, because at the end of this episode, we're at a alternate past for Picard, but we don't know where everybody else is right now. We don't know how they get there. Now, here's another scene that I thought was really cool from the intro. This is obviously Picard with a androidish looking eye. I don't know if that's on purpose, but I thought that was pretty cool. So I thought we should include that as well, because it looks really neat, I thought. Then we basically, after the credits, we zoom in on Earth, and at this point, we're at Chateau Picard, 48 hours earlier, and I like this. I actually like the concept of what they've shown here. We have seen Chateau Picard before, but we're seeing the day to day. We're seeing Picard. Yeah, this is literally 2 days before.
Robert with his grapes in the great
the brothers
episode. Yeah,
yes, the brothers or brother, I think it was one of the two.
Totally Robert, and I thought that was
totally Robert for sure. And of course, we got a shot of number one, even though he is apparently in real life, he's quite a troublemaker, and they have a hard time with him on set. So we're not going to get too many scenes with number one, unfortunately, but he is a cute little bugger. So I figured we had to add him as well. I like the fact that we see these hovering vehicles. But what I really liked about it, quite honestly, and it's such a stupid little thing that they've added, but I like the fact that they're teleporting grapes. This is how they pick them. They teleport them, which I thought was just a cool thing. Like, you don't have to handle them. Too. Yeah, very one of the details.
Like they it's
the little things that I like as well. Absolutely, this entire episode is just full of them, which I really like. You even have the Chateau Picard little crates there for all of our stuff. And now we see Laris, and Laris is clearly running the show, as we already knew she did. But she's currently consulting with somebody else, and they're just kind of going through some stuff. And at this point, we see Picard giving her a nice, good look, a very caring look to her. We know that this is a person who's very important to him.
She's awesome. You're a fool, Picard.
You are a fool, my friend. But we'll get into that in a bit. Yeah. And of course, Laris looks back at him just as he's leaving, because that seems to be kind of the tone is they're always missing the mark on each other, which is kind of cool. So we then see a scene later on after the harvest. So we found out that this is harvest day. This is when they're harvesting everything. And this is this is a great day for Picard. Picard loves this. This came out a very great line. They're kind of sparring back and forth a couple lines. And one of the lines he says is "Cheers, big ears." And I love that line. Great. I think it's one of the coolest things I've heard in any Star Trek in the last little while. So I thought that was a great line they've thrown in there. The dialogue was great. I love this scene itself. Basically, he's talking with her about. We find out that her mate, what was his name?
Was it Toman or something like that?
Something like that. The
he died last season, right?
He died during this, so we don't actually know when. We never saw it.
I thought it happened at the end of last season.
He is no longer with us, but that kind of gives us an idea of what the timeline is.
Year and a half.
We find it's been about a year and a half. Yeah. So in between the events of the end of season one and right now, we're talking about a year and a half difference, which makes more sense because if we start seeing where the other people are, makes more sense that it's been about a year or so. Now they start getting into discussion how she says, we mate for life, but when one of us dies, we are supposed to go and find another mate and celebrate love that way. And we celebrate the other person as well.
We learned a lot about Romulans here too, because we also learned that, like Vulcans, they're promised to each other as babies, basically.
Absolutely, so, which is great. Again, we got this detail. Everything about this episode, there's a lot of detail in here, which I really like.
I just hope the whole season is this rich. This episode is very rich.
See, that's the thing that bothers me about the whole episode is through the whole episode, I'm thinking, oh geez, please let it be like this for the whole season. Give me 10 episodes of this, and I'm such a happy guy. But we kind of get an intimate moment where they're talking about each other, and she brings up the fact that he never has a long-term relationship. The one thing I would have liked to see here is a little mention of Crusher. We didn't get anything about Crusher.
But we may this season though.
We may though, and that's the thing. We know Gates McFadden already has said on the record that she has no problem coming and reprising her role. She actually already was on Prodigy, from what I understand. I didn't see it, but I believe there was something to do with her with Prodigy. So we know she's open to do that. And lovely lady. So hopefully we get to see some of her. That would be great.
With a good podcast.
Yeah. What's that?
With a good podcast she has.
There you go. Yeah.
Investigates.
Indeed. As long as we don't get any space ghosts and intimate relationships with space ghosts, I think Gates McFadden would be a great addition.
Yeah, no candle ghosts.
No candle ghosts. None here.
Just no candles.
But we get a very intimate scene here. We know that Picard definitely... There's a lot of character building here as well, I thought. We get to see the fact that she really is in love with him. She loves the guy. He loves her, but in a different way, I think.
In his Picard way, which he says later.
His Picard way. Yeah, literally his Picard way. And, they get very close, and then all of a sudden we get a flashback. And we see this...
Which I found funny. Whenever they show Picard,
very weird transition.
It always looks like the 1800s. It always did in TNG too.
Yes. Yeah.
He's always so old-fashioned.
Yeah, exactly. But we see this kid running around. He's running around. Obviously, it looks like Chateau Picard. The one thing I never caught on to until I actually just recently saw this particular scene as I'm going through all the clips that I took is this is the same hallway that he looks at later on. Which I think we're supposed to know that, but the only reason why I know this is because the chandeliers are the same. But when at the end of the episode, when he's going through the house and he's confused, this is one of the angles that we see, and it's obviously dressed up at that point. Yeah, exact same chandeliers and everything, which is interesting. But we kind of learn that Picard has a bit of a history that he doesn't want talked about, and he doesn't talk about it. And what we actually find out is that this little what do we want to call this, a green room, what do we
solarium,
a solarium, let's call it a solarium. The solarium is something that really is dear to him, and the reason being is because we find out him and his mother basically cleared this out when they moved to this house, and this was their place. This was their place for him to look up in the sky.
They painted the glass.
Yes, and they painted the glass, and we get a shot of his mother, which is interesting. I think she's actually an actress that I've seen in something else, but I didn't have the chance to look it up. But very, very convincing. The two of them actually look a lot alike, so maybe this is actually her real life child. Who knows? But either way, we also see the glass with the roses on it, which we have seen in some of the previews as well, which is where we get into this the solarium here, and the fact that they said that they were going to paint it. So this is obviously maybe his mother painted these roses, so maybe that's why it's so dear to him. The reason why we find out about this is because it looks like his mother and his dad had a very abusive relationship.
It does.
And the reason why the solarium is so important to him is because he was told essentially to come in here and look up at the stars
and space. This is the beginning of his, but
this is the beginning of his love for space. Yeah, and but the reason why he loves her.
Wanting to escape from Earth.
Exactly.
It was his safe place. She was just look up there until you can't hear anything.
Yeah, and at the end of the scene, you actually see a teary-eyed Patrick Stewart here, which obviously this is a very emotional time for him. So it was interesting to see, and then we get some more flashbacks. It looks like she's Chateau Picard. She's obviously being abused in some way, and she basically there's different clips, and again the look and the expression on his face I thought was fantastic. Really, it got me to the point that I'm actually sitting there going, oh. Jeez.
Yeah.
This is dark. This is getting dark, right?
Explains a lot about him too, because you'll in the episode Brothers, it's like, I haven't been home in 25 or 30 years. Like he doesn't visit his house.
Yeah, and we find out later when he's talking. Yeah, and Guinan basically says something along the lines of, "You went to space not to explore. You went to space to run away. That's what you did." Right, and that's kind of something that we see again, more abuse things, and then we see kind of him staring up into space. And when he stares into space, it goes and zooms out. What I thought was interesting is this particular constellation, this galaxy, I guess, so to speak, looks like an hourglass. So again, we have our time thing again. So I figured I'd get a clip of that. And then we go to the ship.
Time is the fire in which we burn.
Yeah, so we see this ship. I think this one's called the Avalon, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that one, but again, it's a ship that's going through space. When the anomaly hits, they were the closest one, I guess. And this anomaly just shows up out of nowhere. And this seems to be kind of a normal thing for Star Trek. There's always an anomaly somewhere.
It's a fine looking anomaly.
But I have to admit, they did a great job. I think the CG on this alone looks fantastic. The one thing I did hear was actually for some of the ship scenes later on, they actually got the people who are behind Star Trek Online to provide some of the ship models. So I thought that was pretty cool. So a nice little nod to their hard work. Oh yeah, they got some fantastic designs for sure. So overall we see this, and then all of a sudden we get to a scene we're back in Chateau Picard, and Picard is now we appear to be the next day. He's in different clothes. So at this point he's looking for something. We don't really know what it is. And we end up seeing he's looking for a book, and that book, Laris knows right away where it is, which just goes to show you more that she is kind of his, almost like a caretaker as well, for him. Now the gentleman, I can't remember his name. We're gonna have to look him up, but her husband, we got the impression he was kind of the kind of the keeper of the house, and she kind of dealt with the business in the first season. But he's looking for a book. We have a very hard time seeing the name of the book. We don't know why he wants the book. But he explains that he's looking for this book that's green with gold lettering and stuff, which we obviously find out a little bit later, which I got a better shot of later for you. But anyway, she basically says, this is awkward. We had an awkward moment on the patio last night. I think it's time I start moving on. I shouldn't be here. You're being Picard. You're being the guy you always are, which is very closed. You're not going to let me get close to you, and we're not going to spend the rest of our lives together. So now might be a good idea for me. I don't have time for this, as she says. She's of age, and she does not have the time to invest in this type of thing.
Too old for awkwardness.
Too old for awkwardness, as she says.
I don't know this actress, but something about her is incredibly captivating. I love it.
You know what? She has just the way she captures the scene when she's in it is fantastic. I was thinking the same thing.
She has a powerful presence.
She really does. I don't know the actress. I'm sure if Dave was here, if Dave's watching this, I'm sure he's very angry at both of us for not having all this information on hand. But you know what? We're just reacting. This is our hardcore reaction. This is what we're doing, and I'm sure we'll never be allowed to do this again. But we have it today, so we're doing it anyway. So you know what? We're going to do it our way, Davan.
I think we might have 3 weeks of this.
3 weeks, you think? Eh? Okay, well maybe we'll see. Maybe he'll change his schedule when he sees this one.
Maybe.
Anyway, so Picard says, "You know what? No, I don't think that's a good idea. You should be with me." Blah blah blah, and she's not having it, right? So anyway, we all of a sudden,
there's a good line there actually. Where
let's go back.
He's trying to explain himself, and she's just like, "You don't need to. You were you," and he just like,
you were
nods. He's like, yes, that's pretty much what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and we find out that the reason why he's dressed up is also because he has an event. He's got a speech he's got to talk about. We don't know what the speech is yet. And then obviously our next shot, and a new job, which we find out soon as well. So Starfleet Academy, this is obviously the San Francisco Starfleet Academy, and we instantly open to a podium, and there we see Raffi.
Yay, Raffi.
Raffi's now in uniform again, which means she's back in a command type of environment. We don't know what rank she is yet because we can't see it all. But we find out later she is a commander. Yeah, he does call her commander. Yeah, absolutely. Just after this. But the thing that I thought was interesting is the Bajoran flag. So do these flags just represent all the people that come to the school, or is the Bajor now part of the Federation?
No, they must be in. I think they're in.
I think they'd be in this scenario, but we also have a Klingon flag here as well.
Because I have a feeling they didn't put up a Ferengi flag when Nog attended.
No, I don't remember that. So that's that was the takeaway I got from this scene. Very cool scene to see.
Good eye. Good
Yeah,
eye.
they
I
did.
didn't see that.
They did some. Well, I didn't catch it on the first one actually. It was when I was getting my screenshots.
Mm.
That's when I caught it. So I'm like, oh, I got to get this because I know if anybody's going to want to talk about it, it's going to be Davan.
Geez, that
But
red one over there almost looks like it has a Klingon symbol on it.
that is a Klingon symbol, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I think I got
What?
another angle of it, and it is Klingon for sure.
Okay, now I take back what I said. There's no way the
Yeah, I
Klingons
don't
would
know if
join the
this is just
Federation.
representing the people that are able to come to the academy, or if this is straight out. This is straight out the fact that they're part of Starfleet now. We don't know, and I doubt we're going to know. I don't think this is something we're going to see. We have seen a lot of Bajoran people in various scenes in this show, so wouldn't shock me. But also, I don't think so. But anyway, that's clearly the Klingon flag.
Yeah,
there,
really.
This flag behind him, though, I have no
Begs a
idea
little
who it is.
investigation, I think.
Exactly.
It's blue.
Now the one
It's
thing,
probably Andorians.
the one thing that hit me here is the uniform. I love the look of this uniform.
As does
this looks
our
really
resident.
Cool. Yes, Dave gave an
Dave.
instant 10 out of 10 for the uniforms. He thought
I
they were
also love them.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But I this one strikes me really awesome. I just love this Admiral uniform. I think it looks fantastic. And if we zoom in a little bit better, we see obviously his insignia with the Admiral rank, and we have obviously the new badge as well, which is interesting. Which is a very good play on the badges that we've seen previously. So I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, this seems another great example of the details they're putting into this episode, though.
A lot of details in this episode, and again, I just hope they keep it up. That's the thing that's bothering me about all this.
My worry is I won't care because it's.
Yeah.
I worry that the rest of this season is going to feel like the mirror universe, which I generally can't stand. So that's my. Cheers, big ears. Hey, Dave.
Cheers, big ears. Hey, I think Dave had the same thought that I had, which is I love that line.
We're trying to keep your baby alive.
That's going to keep with us. Yeah. Yeah. And, seize today because we know nothing of tomorrow. There you go. True. So Dave's really flying with these comments. Actually, I've missed a whole bunch of them. I love the new Starfleet uniforms. They are 10.
Totally.
He's got some other ones, but we're gonna leave those till a little bit later because he's got some stuff that we haven't talked about yet. But overall, I just think I think they did a great. I love the scene; it looks fantastic. I thought. Where am I in here right now? Oh, let's hide this one. So with that, I thought that was just the overall, as you said, and as well as I've said many times, just the detail alone is fantastic. Everything about the scene looks amazing. I love the look of this. I don't know where this auditorium actually is. I'm sure it's a real auditorium somewhere.
I don't know. This looks like CGI to me, but like,
you think it's all CGI? It could be, but it looked fantastic. I thought it didn't give me the impression of fake at all. So I think that's best way to have CGI actually. So let's be honest. So anyway, we got a lot of talking. He basically says, I could leave you with my chat of various people, but I'm going to leave you with a quote from my mother. And my mother wasn't an explorer, and she always told me to look up at the sky, right? So, and see where you can kind of go. So I thought that was really nice. And again, another kind of nod to his mom, which obviously he's thinking a lot about now, which is interesting. So I thought that was kind of cool.
And we learned that he's like was he the head of Starfleet Academy?
He's essentially the dean, I guess. I can't remember exactly what they said his exact title was, but basically he's running Starfleet Academy, which we find out in a scene coming up. But we also get Elnor, and Elnor being the first Romulan to be accepted into Starfleet Academy. And
other than poor Simon Tarsus, but he lied to get into Starfleet Academy.
True, he did. He did lie for sure. And again, we got another shot because apparently I'm in love with that. Just overall, I love the framing of a lot of the scenes in this show so far. I think the cinematography is fantastic. They did such a great job.
And how about the top of those flagpoles? Pretty nice.
Those are pretty nifty too. And then all of a sudden we get into a scene where we're back at the La Serena. Yeah. We're going to call it the La Serena. I'm sure somebody will correct us if we're wrong. But anyway, it's the La Serena. Looks a little beat up compared to the last time we saw it, which was a little bit more shinier. But we all of a sudden see these two people walking around what appears to be the cargo bay, and all of a sudden we see Seven, and she's hiding, which is very uncharacteristic of Seven to be hiding. So we're kind of interested. It intrigued me. I was automatically like, "What's this about?" Right? And she's basically just hiding. She can see these people, and she all of a sudden talks to a hologram of Rios, which is,
this guy's awesome.
Yeah, Rios has all these holograms. What she's done is she's amalgamated them all into one hologram. And he has he talks, I think it's Spanish, but I could be wrong.
I believe it might be from the same as last year.
Okay.
Now he speaks.
I can't remember.
It may be a dialect of.
It could be a dialect, yeah, for sure. My captions were on, and it said everything that he was saying, so I was okay with that. But it was really cool to see this. Obviously, he's a hologram, but she's kind of like, be a distraction, because he's going to distract these people that are walking around. You get the impression that they're there to either kill her or do something, but we don't really know who they are. We then see them, and she refers to them as pirates. So we know that they're there basically just to jack the ship. That's really what it is. Oh, apparently my dogs are fighting.
This could have been Nausicaans. Maybe
could have been
Nausicaans. Should have been Nausicaans.
Should have been, probably would be better.
We got pirates.
Then she makes this witty line, like, I can't remember exactly what she says here, but it's something along the lines of like, we could just make this easy and you could just like leave and stuff, and all this. And obviously she's a woman who's very confident, which we already know. So a lot of times
she's running like freight for the Fenris Rangers or something. Like,
yeah, she said this is the property of the Fenris Rangers. Yeah. Just leave now. Blah blah blah, kind of thing. They disagree with her, usually using weapons fire. But yeah, we can see that these are medical supplies, just based on what we're seeing on the side of the thing. And again, more attention to detail. They didn't have to put this here, but it's obviously cool. It's medical command, which I thought was pretty cool. So overall, just really, again, attention to detail. That's what this entire episode is: time and attention to detail. And she ends up tackling this woman and ends up landing on her. Which I thought was pretty funny. But the thing I really liked about this, and again, this gets back to a detail, we usually see a lot of these scenes where people just kind of like, they land on somebody and they just kind of get up and they're good. She rolls over and she's clearly in distress. Like, she's like, oh, that was terrible. I shouldn't have did that, kind of thing.
And she's a bully.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I didn't get a picture of, I don't think, was just before this, she yells out to the computer to turn off the safety of the holograms.
Yeah.
And that instantly turns holographic Rios into a badass, kicks everybody in the ass kind of thing.
He's solid.
Yeah, he's solid. So now he can fight everybody. So he starts fighting these pirates and he's beating the hell out of them. And she the last one ends up getting taken out by her as she lands on him, on her, actually, excuse me. And then at this point she says something to him. I can't remember exactly what it was. And he's like, "Yes, ma'am," kind of thing, because she's clearly in charge of the ship. And until then, we didn't actually know that that's what was going on. We didn't know that she's in charge of the ship. This is the first time we get that impression, which I thought was cool that they left.
We probably could have figured that out just because Rios was captaining a Starfleet vessel earlier, but
but again, we don't know where we are in the logic, right? So
he does say something funny to her too. I think it's here too, where he's just like, "Have you ever considered a human crew?" And she says, like, "Not once."
Not even once, or something like that. She says. This I thought was interesting when they see the anomaly. He's like, "Oh, it's filled with tachyon fluctuations and a massive spike in Hawking radiation."
Hawking radiation.
So there you go. A nice little nod there. Stephen Hawking, who obviously is somebody who has been referenced many, many times in Star Trek for obvious reasons.
We get the nod to the USS Sulu as well.
Yes, we do later on. Absolutely. I'm glad you caught that. But yeah, we see that. One thing I thought was interesting is every time they show the anomaly, they don't show a lot of it, but when they do show the anomaly and somebody's looking at the anomaly, all of a sudden they're glowing green. Which obviously is the universal sign of the Borg, which I thought was kind of a subtle little thing, but very cool. And obviously we get another beauty shot of it from the La Sirena. which clearly, again, the everything about the CG in this show has been fantastic up until now. I thought. Then all of a sudden we're at another scene now, and we're at a dinner table in some sort of formal setting, and sure enough, that's where our friendly little android is.
I even liked her scene, and I don't think I liked a single scene she was in last season.
So, yeah, and this gets back to your point. I instantly thought of people under 35.
Yeah, people under 35 tried to sink the first season of this show.
Yeah, and with this, she's in some sort of ambassador type role at this point. You get the impression that she's representing the synthetics, which I think is really what's happening.
She mentions that they're traveling around the galaxy. The synthetics.
Yeah, they're traveling around the galaxy to do that
diplomacy.
To spread the word, because now synthetics are allowed. So with that, she's sitting with a whole bunch of other synthetics. What I thought was interesting is the contrast between this scene and the doctor's scene, because we get the doctor standing at the bar, and she's by herself. She's not comfortable around them. She just wants to be off to the side, and that's where she is. And she's drinking up a storm. And this very charming man shows up, and is clearly hitting on her. He's obviously a synthetic, or at least we believe he's a synthetic. And she basically has just said, dude, you are barking up the wrong tree. I am crazy town. At this point, like, I just literally just got off of a murder charge. Because the last guy aliens, the last guy I dated, I ended up killing him. She
was very funny.
You know what? Everybody told me that, I hate on her a little too much. I like Alison Pill as an actress. I don't like her in this show, but I'll tell you right now, I'm warming up to her from this. This episode has made me warm up to her a bit more. So they didn't press the jokes with her in this season so far. Whereas I felt everything she said was it was added on last minute, and it felt really it didn't feel natural, but most of the stuff that's happening in this, I think, feels pretty natural. So I like that. I don't know how you feel about that, but I do like her character at this point.
I liked her last season, but I do like where they're going with her this season.
Yeah, and he's basically
there were a few things. She got a bit frantic last season, like when I didn't really like the whole thing where she killed.
What's interesting is every time I try to take a screenshot of her, I always get a terrible face. So I don't know if that's just because she's a very expressive actress. Maybe she is, but I had a hard time. But I love that one. I thought that was great. I left that one in just because I had to. But it just shows the crazy. And then you see the two of her walking. The one thing I thought that was interesting about Jody and Soji talking was they're in the middle of a conversation and the doctor just leaves. So it's almost like there's not a lot of respect there, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. But I thought, and it basically happens in this scene. They literally are talking, and it feels like there's going to be more to the conversation. I don't know if it's just a bad edit, but there seems to be more to a conversation. And then all of a sudden she literally just transports up and she's gone. And then Soji's just kind of standing there. Which I thought was interesting.
Well, maybe she was transported away.
Yeah. Now, at this point, we already know that she's intoxicated. Oh, yeah. So she's been beamed up onto a ship. She's intoxicated. We, again, don't know what ship we're on at this point. And then as she walks through, we see, obviously, we see the man himself. And Rios, I think, is probably the best transition out of all the characters in the show so far in this episode. I just like how he's represented now. He's not like the dirty scum traveler Han Solo type. He's fitting the role, but he's doing it his way. Right?
Yeah, he's slightly gritty for a Starfleet captain, hence the cigar.
Yeah, like, but he's gritty out of necessity, right? Yeah. But
it's just you kind of is.
Yeah, exactly. And you find out that basically, I guess she's like an advisor to him. And he's asked her to come along because they've been ordered to go look at this anomaly. So at this point, he talks to all the crew. I didn't bother to take pictures of it, but he's talking to the crew. He's very down to earth as he talks to the crew. He's not very up. He's not, I'm the captain and you're going to talk to me, bitch, kind of thing. He really just, he's not as formal as Picard is. You can tell that everybody does have respect for him. He even gets thrown a lighter by one of his, somebody throws a lighter to him for his cigar. which I thought was cool. I like the fact that how he's sitting is not a very perched up, very proper seating. He's a little bit more laid back. He's got the cigar in his hand and he's just like, let's get this shit done kind of thing, which I thought was great. So
I had Deanna Joy vibes too, and Girardi kind of looks at him and sits down in like the side chair and sort of crosses her legs.
She's got the legs crossed, and she's clearly, you can tell that the alcohol is affecting her a bit. And she does a good job to portray that. She's not nuts, but she's clearly intoxicated. But they don't really play on it that much until obviously the scene that happens after this. They end up, and then we get some beauty shots.
Oh, okay. God. So when I saw this,
I
was just like,
you probably had the same impression.
Four nacelles. Is there going to be four nacelles?
Yeah.
And
so
four nacelles.
So I think they purposely did this. They show us the nameplate first. They show us kind of a back view, which I take all the shots out here for you because I knew we were going to be talking about this. Again, looks pretty. I love the lights bouncing off of the hull and stuff like that. You obviously have the original. And I'm sure you're going to have this
four
one
nacelles.
Soon. Yeah, 4 nacelles. And then we get to see the back cargo area. We get another nameplate. But I see the nacelle here, but I also see the arms for the other one. So at this point, I'm very excited. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we see it. Oh, she's a beauty.
She's beautiful.
She's a beauty.
What a great design.
Oh, beautiful. It's now one of my favorite ships. It looks fantastic. Just everything about it. And I actually paused at this point and looked up to see if I can get any more information on it. Very, very cool. Very well done. They did a great job.
I love Picard's line about he's just like, the older these refits get, the younger they look.
Yeah, the younger they look. And then somebody says, yeah, unlike us or something like that.
Oh, he says he's just like, unlike myself.
Says it. Yeah, unlike myself. Yeah, because he essentially is refit.
He's a refit, but looks old.
Yeah, exactly. Which is something that I actually like about the episode. They don't really go too much into the fact that he's now an android. They mention it a couple times.
Guinan mentions it.
Yeah, Guinan mentions it, but it's very subtle mention, and we just move on past that. It's considered a non-event.
Doesn't matter. Right? Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Which I
like. Then we go back to Starfleet Academy. We see the fact that we're seeing cadets being thrown onto each ship now. They're doing the transports and stuff like that, and he's talking to Raffi. And Raffi is basically saying they're kind of talking about where Raffi's going. We find out that Raffi is on the Excelsior.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too.
Which is very cool. And we also find out that the reason why she's on the Excelsior more than anything is probably because that's where Elnor is. And she's very much a mother figure to him. So it kind of makes sense that she's going to kind of oversee things. Now, she clearly is a commander at this point. We know that she has been referenced that. We don't know if she's the first officer or not, but she's clearly a commander. So she's obviously very high up in the chain when it comes to that ship. But we get some subtle nods. I didn't take the pictures of it, but we did see some nods to different ships throughout this. That you hear the call out, especially the one about the Sulu one. The ship named after Sulu. We didn't see it, and I tried like hell to find it.
And the Grisham was the other one.
The Grisham was the other one. Yeah. So now we see Elnor standing in front of his duty assignment thing here. We see that he's been assigned to that as well, and Picard comes up to give him basically this book. And the reason why he's giving him this book is because Elnor has stated that he's a little worried about the fact that he's the first Romulan, and how am I going to adapt to this when I'm the first one, right? And what's interesting is this book, if we look at it, is The Many and the One by Spock. Wow. So this is a book that Spock wrote. Very cool nod, I thought.
That is a crazy nod. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so that's why I grabbed that to make sure that we could see it. But again, details.
Also, like a slight Borg reference.
Yeah,
The Many and the One.
The Many and the One, slight Borg reference. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't read this one. I couldn't make out what that one was. But if you look at the design, shouldn't be too hard to figure it out.
It's the same design as the ship that we saw in the opening.
Yeah, so it could be something like the Avalon or something like that. Obviously, the Excelsior is right behind Picard at this point. And then if we notice, we actually have the Stargazer here as well. So these are obviously the duty consoles. I guess everybody's looking up to make sure where they're going, stuff like that. And basically, he passes on the book. It's like passing on the torch, right? Spock had a hard time being half Vulcan. He had a hard time being in Starfleet as well, so he had some challenges. So that's what his book's about, and he felt that this would be a good book to pass on to him. So again, it's passing on the torch kind of thing. And again, we have a even better shot here. I think I got of it. Very cool book to look at. Hopefully they'll release it one day. at least that's something you can put on the shelf, right? Then we end up getting Elnor takes off because the announcement comes on, and we find out that Raffi's on the same ship, and she basically has told him, Elnor, get your butt moving, we're leaving soon, right? Kind of thing. And they have a nice little nice little conversation between the two of them, just him basically saying, safe voyages, all that. And then I got a good little screenshot here of the another four nacelle stargazer here. Oh, she's a beauty. Anyway, so here we are back again. Beautiful shot again. This one, obviously, they've made it to the anomaly, and the anomaly basically at this point we find out that the La Sirena is there as well with Seven. Seven has shown up as well. And he looks at his ship and goes, "What the hell have you done to my ship? I gave this to you in confidence and you've destroyed it."
Shut up.
And she goes, "I used your ship to help many," that kind of thing. So she's very proud of that. She's very proud that she's always helping, which is kind of what Seven does. But overall, she's kept it in one piece, which is essentially what she reverts to. Then we get a transmission. The transmission comes in. It's the translator says it's an unknown language. And Jody has a look at it at the same time, and she figures out that it's not just one person talking, it's a whole bunch of them talking, and they're all saying the same thing.
And in different languages.
All in different languages, and they're saying the exact same thing. Again, can't get a good screenshot of Jody without her looking kind of weird. I don't know why, but anyway, we find out.
Here's a funny line too, when she's like pushing people around, and they're like, "Captain," he's like, "Oh no, you just get out of her way. It'll be a lot."
Yeah. Oh yes, I totally forgot about that actually. Yeah. And this is where she trips. She actually trips walking over. We don't know if this was actually part of the production or not, but they played it up and they did it anyway. And you assume it's because she's intoxicated. And the Bajoran person there is basically, she's like, "Captain, are you going to do anything about this?" And he's like, "It's better just to get out of her way."
She's
Let's
smart.
not even talk about the fact that she killed her boyfriend at one point, but whatever. But she basically finds out that the message basically says, save us Picard, I believe is what it was. Help us Picard. Help us Picard. Help us Picard. So obviously,
and then followed by Article 15.
Yeah, Article 15, which is to join the Federation. So obviously, the message, it can be interpreted as they want Picard to help them get put into this, but we still don't know at this point. Do we know if it's the Borg? I don't think we do.
No.
No, because they haven't really established that yet.
No, when she translates those voices, it really sounds like the Borg.
It does sound a lot like the Borg, but they don't really tell us it's the Borg yet. We still don't know who's in the anomaly. But we also know that the Borg can rip space and time to travel, so it kind of makes sense that it would be the Borg anyway. So most of us long-term fans are already going, yeah, this is the Borg. We have no thoughts that it wouldn't be, but for the new fans, I'm sure they were very surprised by that. We get a scene of future Los Angeles, which I thought was interesting, and Jean-Luc beaming down onto a street. We then get a plaque which clearly says Forward Avenue. And of course, this is a play on 10 Forward, because the address for Guinan's bar is 10 Forward. 10 Forward Avenue. Kind of cheesy, but you know what? Still pretty cool. This really reminded me of the back alleys from Back to the Future 2. I don't know if you remember that, but kind of interesting. A little kind of hole in the wall, which, let's be honest, she wouldn't have a flashy bar. She would have a hole in the wall that would make.
See, I didn't even catch these details. This episode has so many details. I didn't.
I know, very cool.
Forward Avenue, 10 Forward.
Yeah, 10 Forward, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we see Guinan behind a bunch of bottles at a bar. Obviously, she's a bartender. That's what she does now. And instantly she says, "We're gonna need some Earl Grey, piping hot," because she already knows he's in there. She hasn't even turned her head, and she knows. She can sense it. She can feel it.
He's like, maybe something a little stronger.
Yeah, maybe something a little bit stronger. And actually,
I love what she says there. Top shelf or hooch? He's like,
Yeah, top shelf or hooch.
I guess.
And as Dave said, always go with the hooch.
Always go for the hooch.
Very true, very true.
She's like Aldebaran whiskey. No, she's like Saurian brandy. It is
Saurian brandy, yes. Which they obviously embrace each other, and then they sit down and have a drink. She pours it out of this cool glass, which I think we've actually seen this one before. I think we've seen these bottles before, so that's a nice little nod as well.
There was one part of this scene I felt unnecessary, actually.
What was that?
The explanation for the way she looks.
Yes, because she's not supposed to age. It wasn't necessary. We didn't need it.
That's not the case. See,
okay,
I feel like it's been enough time that she could have, even in El-Aurian, she could have just aged naturally to that.
Yeah, it didn't feel like we needed it.
Tolian Soren from Generations, he looked old. He was an El-Aurian, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it would.
absolutely.
I think what would have been better than what she says, which is we can age when we want to, and she's just like, I aged to keep up with the people I knew, but I don't buy that. El-Aurians, that's their life.
Why would they need
as
to?
fast as the people around them, and why would you want to? Where I think they could have just said she reached the age where their age starts to accelerate a little more, which
they could have did anything. I think it was just a way to keep people from bashing Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg obviously doesn't look like Whoopi Goldberg from 20 years ago.
I just think
neither do any of us.
Done it in a way that doesn't rewrite that species so much. So
we don't need to. It was unneeded.
They could have just said she got older.
Yeah, exactly.
She could stay at this state for another 100 years. You know what I mean? But like she's aged physically, so
but the thing I really like about the scene though is the looks that Picard gives her, because Picard, he loves this woman. He loves everything about her. He's infatuated with her, but not in a sexual way. He's just these are great friends. This is a good friend.
Similar to the look he gave Deanna and Will in Last, and he misses those days as well. That was the best time of his life.
Exactly.
And
so basically, Guinan says, there's a lot of stuff here, but basically the summary is Guinan says, you're running from something. What are you running from? Oh, I know you have something. And then she looks at him and says, "Oh, I've seen this look before," which I thought was pretty cool. I've seen this. I've seen this look once before. Yeah.
And that's how I know it's serious. She says.
Yeah, that's how I know this is serious. Yeah. And at that point, he basically, they decide, what? Let's just drink. That makes more sense. And they, get laughing and stuff.
She's referring to.
Yeah. Well. That's a good question, and I guess that's open to interpretation, isn't it? But I think we're really referencing the first movie as well as some other stuff as well. So, and obviously the last outing in the series as well, because she was a big part of that as well. So, very interesting. But overall, I just think it's a good scene. This one ran a little long, I thought, as well. Didn't need to be as long, but I think they really wanted to make sure that Whoopi Goldberg got some thing. I hope to see her again in some of the episodes. I think it'd be great to see her
but again, that's what worries me with the timey-wimey thing, where they just established this beautiful world the way I've been wanting to see the continuation of Star Trek go forward, and then I think they're just gonna take the rug out from under us, and it's just
I hope not, but we're gonna see. But anyway, we got this episode. This episode was fun. So the next scene we see a shuttle about to land at Chateau Picard. We assume for a second there that it was actually just Picard returning home, but no, it's not. It's actually
another admiral.
Yeah, and this woman is actually the same woman that played the transporter chief in Next Gen. She played one of the transporter people in Next Gen.
She's a real life for real astronaut.
And she's also a real life for real astronaut.
I can't believe that's her, but as soon as you said it, that's her. Yeah, I recognize the face.
Same lady. I can't remember her name, unfortunately. And again, Dave's gonna have her ask for that, I'm sure. But
for real life for real astronaut.
Yeah. But anyway, it's definitely her. And she basically plays back this information, which essentially is "Save Me, Picard." He's very interested in that. He finds out about Article 15, says, "Whoa, this is weird," and then she brings out the badge and she holds it out to him, waiting to see if he'll take it.
I wonder if she's the same character.
I don't think she is, but because I don't remember her reference is the same. But again, we'll have to look that up. I'm sure that'll be something we can cover later on. overall, we then hear the shuttle take off. Obviously, I can't show that in a screenshot, but we hear the shuttle take off just as Lazarus is showing up, and you see a very disappointed look on Lazarus. Laris, sorry. Why do I keep saying Lazarus? That's terrible. Completely different character. But yes, Laris sees this and instantly knows that he's gone again. He's run again. That's what he does, right? That's Picard. And then at this point, we see the shuttle showing up right beside the Stargazer, and we see it docking in again. Beautiful ship. Love this ship. Everything about this ship looks amazing. I can't wait to see more of it. I hope we see more of it. I don't know if we're going to, but I hope so. Yeah, well, maybe we'll see it near the end of the season. And he's walking around with Seven. Seven greets him at the shuttle, the bay area. And starts walking him up to the bridge, and everybody is stopping. They see the Admiral, everybody's stopping. They're waiting for him to walk by. They're giving him the respect that he deserves. And he's kind of walking it off. He's not even really noticing it. It's making him a bit uncomfortable, as you can tell. She's even more uncomfortable, though. And the reason being is obviously she's Borg. So with that, or was Borg anyway. And again, we have officers at attention.
With Borg parts, we come to find out.
Yeah, we come to find out that this is actually from the Reclamation Project, which is the cube that we saw in the first season, which instantly should be a red flag. We instantly know that could be an issue, which we find out later is an issue. But anyway, I really like the turbo lift. I thought the turbo lift has way more information than you would think a turbo lift would have in it, but very cool. This screen behind them has a 3D rendered version of the Stargazer, which is actually spinning around and stuff.
Maybe just point to where you want to go.
Yeah, maybe you can just point it and it tells you how to get there. That's pretty cool, I thought. But overall, and then we get to see, obviously, our man himself, Rios, sitting there with a cigar in his hand. And just as Picard shows up and he's like, Picard, the two of them look very much like they want to see each other. They're very happy to see each other. And then, of course, Jody as well says basically, oh, hi, you look great, and she makes a joke. Yeah, I'm not drunk, basically, but she actually makes a reference to the fact that he's an android. Because she says positronic. You look absolutely positronic or something. Oh,
yeah.
Very corny line, but I understand why it was there.
I like it.
Yeah. Well,
I'd make that joke.
But, and then I got this I thought this was a great shot to show us a nice picture of this. I really like the look of the bridge on the Stargazer here. And he does make references, as you said earlier.
Sleeker, he says.
Sleeker. Yeah, sleeker. And he makes that joke about how, why is it, why are these refits always make things look newer and blah, blah, blah. So very cool. But anyway, I don't know why I have this in here. I think it didn't really show us, but basically all of a sudden the consoles are getting disrupted.
Oh,
yeah. And then Jody looks very upset. She's like, whoa, something bad's happening. And then all of a sudden we start getting all of the screens are starting to get messed up. We then find out that the Borg, or whoever it is going to send an emissary, and it's going to be the Queen, which is very interesting, but also very frightening. Which basically Rios at this point says, no, we are backing off.
Shields
up. Yeah, shields up. We are not happening. Tell everybody that's around us, shields up. Right, because
he's
at this point,
try to beam over here, and I will open fire. Which he doesn't.
I will fire right on you, and that's it. And again, we start seeing the emerging of the ship coming out. Picard is obviously in distress at this point. He's not happy.
And Seven's just like, kill it now.
Yeah. Then we get a view from the ship coming out of the actual anomaly, and we start to see all the ships that are around us.
Yeah, it's
which
so cool.
Very
so many
cool.
different.
Yeah, very cool to see some of these ships.
Some Nebula
some Excelsior class, Nebula, yeah. So overall, very cool. I don't know if we can see too much of it. Very hard to see, but we see some ships that are very reminiscent of some of the earlier ships, as well as some of the later ones. This one is very intriguing, I thought. And this one obviously very familiar. But and of course, we know which ship that is. No question there. But somebody actually said in the comments that the Cerritos or something that looks like the Cerritos is there, but I haven't been able to pick it up, but maybe I didn't see it.
Ship there where there's no way to get to engineering, then it's the Cerritos.
Yeah, then it's the Cerritos, exactly. But something like the Cerritos. Not saying it's the Cerritos, but very similar in design.
A California class.
California class, exactly. So
Cali classes.
then at this point we see Raffi's here. Raffi's shown up, and if you notice, the comm says that she is on the Excelsior. So, and the fact that she's talking directly to them would lead me to believe that she's in a pretty high command in this ship. She's probably the first officer, we're guessing.
Or the comm officer.
Yeah, well, could be, I guess. Yeah. And then we get a scene in the ready room, and I thought this was one of the coolest scenes in the entire show. This scene is great because they're trying to decide, do we actually open negotiations with the queen, the Borg queen, or do we blast them? And everybody
kill it now.
Yeah, and Seven is definitely like, you guys are, why are we even talking about this? You blow them out of the sky. Like, there is no debate here. They killed my parents. They've killed millions of people. They've taken out civilizations. What, are you nuts? Right? And then Girardi's basically saying, we could be giving up a potential amazing ally to have here. Like, you guys got to think this through a bit.
Thinking, strangely,
Yeah, but you also have to remember she's somebody who is accustomed to androids and stuff like that. So, she has a trust for them as well. And, at this point, she's not having any of this. She's well, and Seven's pissed off. Seven's pissed off that this conversation is even happening.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the fact that
kill it, and he's just in
this is really just a fight between the two girls. Yeah, because
the look she gives him is like,
yeah, she gives him the dirtiest of dirty looks, and she's like, Rios, open fire now.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for? These guys can't be trusted. If they're either one of two things. Yeah. They're either strong or they're weak and deceptive. That's the two positions that they have. And obviously it's a weak and deceptive, I think, is what we're seeing here.
If you don't have strength or power or whatever she says, use deception.
Yeah, they're gonna use deception, and then we get a very foreboding shot here of how big this ship actually is. It's huge.
Yeah. And I like how they constantly show us in this episode why Seven isn't in Starfleet. She doesn't fit the mold.
No, she can't be in Starfleet anymore. She's past that. This is a cool shot because this is a shot from the ship, and it's actually opening up the front of the ship. We get a nice front shot of the Stargazer, which I thought was fantastic, and some. Actually, let's go back here a second.
Ooh, that was
we get some more beauty shots here, and again,
like the Bellerophon there.
This one I thought was interesting. So
it is interesting.
And this is almost like an NX class that they're still using.
Yeah, really.
Or a refit of an NX class. So that was interesting, I thought. But we see this thing just towers the ship, and the Stargazer is a big ship, and this thing just towers it, which is typical Borg, go big or go home, right? And she's clearly upset. At this point, they fire something, but we don't really know what's going on here. And what it is they're trying to get their teleporter through the shields.
It's their transporter beam.
It's just their transporter
beam. The transporter beam is cutting through the shields. They say.
And it's literally just cutting, and that's what it's doing. We got a nice little shot here. We find there's obviously a trill here. And we get a nice shot of the engine readout here, which I thought was pretty cool. Very, very reminiscent of actually I would say probably Voyager would be the closest to the engine on this one. So pretty cool. And obviously we're now starting to see Rios is getting disjointed. So when Rios is getting disjointed, you're in trouble. And of course Picard is upset as well. And we now are back to a scene where we're in one of the corridors, and it's flashing red, and there's people running through. We got weapons being drawn because they're seeing something about to emerge, and they've all got weapons drawn. I thought it was cool that they all have weapons on them, which is something you didn't see a lot in some of the other series, weapons on the bridge. But these guys all had full weapons on. So that leads me to believe the Stargazer isn't really an exploratory ship as much as some of the other ships.
Worf always had his on the bridge.
He always did have his, but being the security officer, you kind of have to, right? Whereas the rest of them didn't. But everybody on this bridge seems to be armed, which plays into this a little bit later
on.
Well,
then they call like 2 or 3 other armed teams to the bridge.
Exactly, yeah. And then what's really cool is we get to see this figure. This figure just shows up. The
Very
bottom
weird.
half is very reminiscent of the Borg, but the top half is very interesting. It's almost like it's a chain armor, but it's not see-through, which is very interesting. I thought.
There's going to be somebody interesting under that mask. I think
yes, exactly. We don't know who it is yet.
They don't want to give it away. We're guessing
it's a queen. But we again don't know for sure. But this thing, and at this point,
she makes a reference that his mother would make, which is what's strange.
Yes, you caught that. Oh, I'm glad you did, because I was going to mention it. Which leads us to believe that maybe there's a little bit more of a link to this person than we know about. So maybe we find out later that maybe at one point, maybe Picard's
mother was might have been assimilated. And that's why his father was so abusive.
Maybe. So we'll see. I have no idea. Well, this is going to be a weird one. Let's put it that way. But either way, at this point, we don't have an attack. We just got a person standing on the bridge, and they start talking, and they're like, they want to talk to Picard. And at this point, she starts making some references, and then all of a sudden, the tentacles come out, and the tentacles
need power.
Yeah, need power. So she says that they have a need before they're willing to join the Federation. And Rios walks up and says, well, what's that need? And she goes, power.
Yeah, she's like, the negotiation begins now. And then she steals their power.
all these tentacles, very Doc Ock style from Spider-Man, starts piercing into all these consoles. And you don't really know why she's doing that. And then Jody kind of makes a mention, just so you guys know, I don't know if you noticed, but she's taken over the ship, which we knew was going to happen anyway, let's be honest. But very cool to see how it's been done. And that's where we get into fleet, using Borg. Yeah. Well, and then she says, oh, she's actually taking over the whole fleet, which is very interesting. And here she is sucking on the stuff. But the one thing I did notice is some of the consoles, a lot of the consoles are starting to turn green, which I thought was really cool. Very cool. There was some of the elements of the consoles were green. There was no green anywhere to be seen on this bridge. And then all of a sudden green starts showing up, which I thought was a very cool nod.
And then we catch up to our opening scene, basically. Oh, right.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Seven. Seven's just like, I'm done. We're firing.
Yeah, doesn't wait for permission.
She shoots, and then somebody else joins her and starts shooting as well. And then we start seeing, all of a sudden we see that the mask that this figure is wearing kind of rotates in and does some stuff, and then all of a sudden it can start shooting out stuff, which I thought was very interesting. Very cool design. So these guys all just start firing on her. We're going to assume it's a her. Firing on it, I guess. And it starts firing back, and it's firing back like all over the place. It's nailing everything left, right, and center. At first, you think that she's killing everybody, and then Jody goes down to look at one of them and finds out that they're all stunned. They're not even dead. So, and again, we got a really cool beauty shot here. Very cool. Very, very cool design. I love it. That's about as close as we ever got to her. So I thought that was pretty neat to see. But kind of like a chainmail mesh kind of thing going on. Very Borg-esque.
Borg cube look.
Yeah, very Borg-esque. And then at this point, Rios and everybody starts, we got arms coming in, people are getting fired on, and Jody starts figuring out, and Seven starts figuring out that they're actually just being stunned. They're not actually getting killed. But you see that they're taking it over. And Jody's just like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. And you all of a sudden see an external shot, and all these ships are getting bounced around and everything. And their shields are all over the place, and they're all turning green, which is very cool. I thought very, very neat.
Seven had a good line in there too, which is right before he decides to self-destruct, which is she's just like, we can't let her have an armada, Picard. We can't give the Borg.
You can't just give her an armada. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So then
and Seven's very anti-Borg for obvious reasons, and makes sense. And it's good to have her, because
Picard,
if we didn't have her,
usually.
Picard is as well, of course. But he's basically ducking for cover at this point. He knows he's an old man. He's only got a certain amount, and he tries to talk to the entity. And at this point, he knows it's not going well. And
she
at
says,
that point,
look up.
Yeah, and she says, look up at him. And we know this from earlier when he had the flashback. That's what his mom used to say all the time. So that leads us to believe that there's something going on here, some sort of connection. Mm-hmm. Now, keep in mind, though, the Borg do have his entire memories. So that, he was assimilated at one point. So we know that they know everything he knows. So at this point, they know all that stuff. And then we see, essentially, I didn't get a good shot of it, but we basically, we see Picard initiate the self-destruct sequence. It's got a 10-second timer. It counts all the way down. In the last second, she says, "Look up." And then at that point, we see a bright flash. We see the Stargazer, essentially what appears to be blowing up. And then all of a sudden, Picard is now waking up somewhere else.
Did you notice his self-destruct code was the same as Kirk's?
Yes.
000 destruct.
Zero. Yeah, exactly. Very cool nod.
The worst code ever, though. 000 destruct 0.
So one of the first things he sees, is that he's in the what do we want to call this? The
solarium.
He's in the solarium again, but now it's got a hex shield over it, which is interesting. But we get the impression that that's further on, so it's some sort of atmosphere shield.
They say it's the solar shields.
It's the solar shield, which the android says to him eventually. But he wakes up. He's got a different emblem on, different outfit on. He's got military-ish boots on, which is very interesting. And he looks at this emblem and he goes, "This is not something I know of. What is this?" And it still has an admiral ranking on it. If you, technically captain. It's got 4 bars on it. So it could be an admiral rank or it could be just that. But I love this scene. This shot looks great. This is to show us essentially that Picard is a fractured man. He's not whole anymore.
And time is also fractured.
Yes, time is also fractured indeed. And for some strange reason,
the fire in which we burn.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. Apparently, I have more pictures for sure. So let me just see if I can pick those pictures up. Let me just.
That's pretty much the end of the episode, except for.
We're missing one key scene, which we're going to talk about once I get the pictures up for it. Where are we now? Okay, sorry.
Our second big cameo besides Guinan of the episode.
Yes. Let's see if we can share here. Share screen, and we're going to do window and this one share. Okay. And we're going to bring this back up and we're going to add this to stream. There we go. See, I got this. I almost got this whole thing now. All right. Yeah. So anyway, we have basically a panning shot of him getting up and all that, which was interesting. This was cool. Instead of Chateau Picard having, memories of various good times that he's had, a lot of weaponry now. So we know that something's changed.
Paintings.
And aggressive paintings, tigers attacking snakes, which is very thing. And of course, we got a battle.
Jean-Luc's.
Yeah, we got Jean-Luc in a very Kirk-esque kind of outfit. Very, what is that? Probably yeah. Rathacon, Voyage Home-ish kind of outfits. Very cool, I thought. Cool battle looking thing here. And he looks at it in disgust. He's just like, what the hell is this? And then all of a sudden, this guy shows up. And it's clearly one of our synthetics.
It looks like one of the ones from Jupiter Station.
Absolutely, yeah. And he goes, where is...
I think it's the same one, actually, the one that starts to kill.
Could be the same guy. Yeah, the same guy that was killing him, yeah. Or killing a bunch of them. He's shedding out for what's her name?
Laris.
Laris. I'm terrible with names. So he's shedding out for Laris, not Lazarus. That's a totally different character. But Laris, and he's just like, I don't know of any Laris. And he looks up the name and he's like, Romulan. It means what did it mean? I can't remember exactly, but
a new day.
A new day. That's it. And he goes, do you want me to check the refugee roster for that and stuff like that? And he's like, whatever. I don't know. And then he just kind of looks down and kind of discusses. And all of a sudden, he hears it, Mon Capitan. And then, of course, a CG'd version of John Delancey, which I'll tell you, I think looks pretty good.
Looks good.
Compared to if you've seen the Book of Boba Fett and you saw Luke Skywalker in that. Ooh, that was rough. Very, very smooth, very fake,
And
very
his
obvious.
making himself older was way more satisfying than Guinan's
Yes,
reason for
but
being
if we
older. He's
actually
just
look
like,
at this, I think this effect doesn't look too bad.
it's not bad. You
I
can tell it's not him. Like you can tell it's CGI,
absolutely.
but
You know, they've
it's
taken a
fine.
cut from one of the earlier shows and modeled it.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it was good. And then he basically goes, "Well, I see if you've gotten older. I guess
Yeah.
I'll match." And he snaps his fingers, and then instantly, there he is, the man himself.
Looking good. Looking good.
This scene right here, and you know what, we've seen a lot of this in the trailer. I don't care. I love John Delancey. I got a wicked man crush on this man. He's fantastic. I just love him.
And if anything, he's gonna be the salve that soothes my worries.
Yes.
Because if it is just gonna be this timey-wimey jump through time thing, and we sort of do lose this nice Star Trek aesthetic we've achieved in this episode, he better be going along for the ride. And
I
it's
agree.
at least a buddy cop show
Well,
between those two or whatever. You know?
And they did show kind of a preview of the season right after this episode, and we see a lot of him. We do see a lot of John Delancey, so I think he's definitely prominent in the show, but I wouldn't say he's there all the time. But he's definitely there at key moments, I'm sure. And he basically reminds Picard, and we saw this in the trailer. You know, the trial never ends, Jean-Luc.
I love that.
And very cool. The thing I really like about him is how he's not showing playful Q in this. He's showing
he's very serious.
Original Q. He's showing very sinister, which I actually got a couple screenshots that kind of show us that a little bit better. We got this very menacing shot of him,
which I like because it shows you that he's been very serious about this test this whole time.
Yes, and
we
kept blowing this off, but it keeps coming back to haunt us. And you know, this is a never-ending trial.
Which came back in the last episode of TNG as well.
I love this sinister look, though. He's looking right in his eyes, and he's just got this kind of sinister smile to him. John Delancey is a fantastic actor, especially when it comes to emotion. Fantastic. He really knows how to play
this character.
This character is his character. Like, there's nobody that can do it well than him. And when you look at this is one of the final scenes of him, and he's got a little bit of excitement in his eyes, but not a lot. Just it's very subtle, but it's there. And I think this is kind of to show that he does want to have a friendship with Picard. And that's one of the reasons why he's always in this trial with him. And then Picard's just got this look of, oh, Q, no.
Yeah, he's like, no.
I can't take any more of this. I've had enough. And then that's pretty much where we end the episode. And then they show us a preview. We see, obviously, I have a couple shots for the preview, which I'll just kind of flip.
Oh, I skipped them on purpose.
Oh, did you? Okay, well, then we're not going to show it. We're not going to show it.
Get out of here.
Let's get out of here. We don't need any more of this.
I think everything gets previewed to death these days.
That's true, yeah. But there are some great scenes. The thing that was interesting to me is how we're going to see more of Brent Spiner. We're going to see him. It looks like in this alternate world, he's more predominant. He's going to be playing a character named Adam, which is interesting, or at least a relative of Adam, because there's a statue that says Adam Soon.
There's so many Soons out there.
There's a lot of Soons, and of course, Brent Spiner has to play them all. But overall, I think this was a great. Personally, I think this was a great episode, a great start.
I was half crying and half on the edge of my seat. It was amazing. I was
very cool. Yeah, very cool. And overall, I thought it was a great way to start the season. Now, I have been here before. The first episode of the first season, I felt pretty good about as well. Not as good as this, though. No. It was a solid episode to start with, but I was very unsure on a lot of the characters. The characters didn't give me a lot of information back then, I thought. And that's something that I think going on later on, we're going to see some more of. So I like where we've progressed these characters over this year and a half. I like where everybody is. Nobody irritated me. We had just enough of Soji, which I thought was great. We didn't need to focus on Soji. Soji really should be a background part of the story at this point. And, you know,
I assume everyone will be if he's off.
He's going to be adventuring with most of them, right? So at this point, some of them are going to have to be, you know, companion characters. But overall, I just think it's going to be. I'm very excited. I don't know about you. I think I was the first one to finish the episode out of
a little worried, but if it can attain or like remain this good, then we're in for a treat.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where I am with it. I feel it's pretty good where it is. I'm hoping we keep this. I'm hoping they keep the pace. The pace is the biggest issue I had with the first season. The pace was so slow at times. Like the sock scene was just didn't need to be there. And actually you pointed it out in one of our other podcasts recently where you said basically if you skip any scene that's with actors over the age of under the age of 35, you're in good shape. And it's true. It really is. The worst part about season 1 was pretty much every time the young actors were on screen, which is it's a terrible thing. They
felt like part of the story. It never felt.
No, they felt like an afterthought. And that's where I think we're getting more into this. We do have some interesting comments here. Dave says, Picard's mother, what the hell is going on? We saw a vision of her her in season 1 of TNG, and she was an old French woman with tea.
It's true.
Well, you know, maybe different time in his life. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. He was just a young boy in this episode.
Now, Dave didn't agree with me on the de-aging of John Delancey. I thought it was fine. He said it was worse than Patrick Stewart on X3. Now, no. Dave, I think you're being a little hard, but you know, that is Dave. He's very critical on some things. But
I'm glad it wasn't very long. I'm glad it was just a quick shot because
Dave also mentions he was unable to make this podcast because he's currently in temporary insanity, which also makes true as well. And actually, he mentioned something about the Jody episode, the Jody scene where she's at the bar and the guy's hitting on her. And he goes,
so he hires Jody and I, the two who are full-time insane.
Exactly. Yeah. Crazy. But he brings up one of the lines and he goes, this is about pretty people flirt. That's what Jody says. And he gives us some emoticons, which I don't think we're allowed to if we keep it to a family show. So, oh my. So the reference there. There you go. Anyway, let's get to ratings. Because we're way over time here, but I was excited about this episode, so it just flew by this 90 minutes. So, you know, what can you do? So anyway, let's bring this into the stream here, and actually, I'm gonna full screen this puppy because you don't need to see our ugly faces while we're doing this. And let's get rid of the banner here as well. Let's bring this in. Can I zoom this in a little bit? I think that's about it. Okay, well, we're gonna have to live with that. Hopefully, people can see it. Anyway, Stargazer, Dave actually already gave us a rating. He rated it a 7 out of 10.
That's it. Come on, Dave. What's going on here?
I'm surprised, actually. I'm a little disappointed with Dave. The uniforms alone should have gave it a 5. So you're telling me it's only worth 2? What are you on there, Dave? Anyway, that's fine. Everybody has their opinion, even if they are wrong. Anyway, Davan.
That's a 10 for me. I wouldn't change.
You're going a straight 10, eh? Like full out 10.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I'm not going to do a 10. I'm going to do a 9. I think there were some things here that could have been better. But overall, I think it's a solid episode. We don't have Adam's score in yet. So unfortunately we can't really give
I just hope
average.
It's not the last 10 I put on there this season, but
you know what?
I fear it may be.
I agree with you completely. So anyway, at this point, the ratings so far, even though they are pretty early, IMDb gave it an 8.2. And our combined average right now is at 7.4.
Oh my God! Get rid of that 0 you put in there for Adams.
Well, he put that in. I didn't. Can we actually do it?
I don't know.
Oh, there you go. So we're at an 8.7. All right. Well, see, Dave does all the numbers too. Like, you know, what do you want from us? You know, what can you do? But anyway, overall, I think it's a solid first outing for the second season.
Amazing.
Yeah, like it's
the best Trek episode I've seen since Enterprise went off the air, if not Voyager. It was really good. No, there's have to be at least a few Enterprise episodes.
I think this episode is better than anything that Star Trek has given me in this modern era.
Yeah, I would agree.
As an episode. Now, I'm not saying there isn't good episodes of Discovery. There are, you know, good episode. Lower Decks is fantastic as well. But I think for
if you bring in Lower Decks, there's some great episodes.
Lower Decks is a little bit of a different thing though, because it's animated, right? So, but out of the live action stuff, let's say that the live action stuff, which obviously being mostly just Discovery, I guess, realistically.
I would even throw in the new modern movies. I think this is
and the new modern movies. Yeah. Overall, I just think great presentation. I'm interested to see what Adam says about it as well. I know he was excited for Picard as well. He and I were both the two that were really excited for this show. But overall, I think it was a great outing. There are a little bit of flaws there, but I think it's solid. I think we did a great job. I just hope, as you said, really it's this is about time. The season's about time. The preview looks fantastic. I thought there were some really cool scenes that they showed us that even the trailers didn't have in it. So, and again, I don't want to ruin those for you or anybody else that's watching, so we're not going to cover those, but there is some you get the impression that John Delancey is going to be around for a bit. We definitely see more of Brent Spiner. But it looks like they've opened up some other things as well. So again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it looks like we're going to see some return from some other people as well. So
good.
Should be interesting. So we'll see. We don't know. It's been rumored that Jordy's going to be on the show at some point.
There's probably a coolant leak
LeVar Burton somewhere. There's always a coolant link somewhere, and sometimes you can't have Jeff. But what can you do? Now I don't have any of the other things that he normally plugs, like all of his little pictures and stuff. So I'll just quickly mention them. I do a show on Monday, which is Enterprise at 8. Which I'm sure you have a prop for somewhere.
No,
you have a prop,
but I've got my own.
Oh, but I was going to leave yours to last because that's one of the most important ones. But here at Live Long and Podcast, we have all different shows. We have Enterprise at 8, which is our rewatch series for Enterprise. On Tuesday, we have our DS9 at 9ish with our good friend Jeff, the host there, who covers. From front to back. Oh, well, there's the NX right there. So again, Enterprise on Monday. We have Tuesday. We cover DS9. I believe on Thursdays we're going to be covering Discovery, the remainder of Discovery season 4. And then of course we're covering here Picard as well. And that's the reason why we kind of have overlap on the two shows. They're probably starting their show just now. So tune into that one if you get a chance. But overall, it's Star Trek all over this place. And of course there's other channels which they normally promote, which I'm not going to because I don't have their stuff. But we also do a Star Trek radio theater, which the next one's going to be on Saturday, which I don't have the promo material for because it wasn't provided to me, but should be good. It's a reread of the famous episode from Next Gen, which is it's the Q episode from season 1.
Q who? No.
Is it Q Who? No. Q Who's the other one.
I got it for you here. Hold
on.
You
got it? Okay, bring it up.
No, I can't bring it up on screen.
No, but you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
You know which one it is, but overall, we're just completely unprepared, Davan.
Yeah, we are. Never mind, I don't have it.
We don't have it. Anyway,
but they're having Steve Shives on.
Steve Shives, very famous YouTuber, awesome dude, and great content over on his channel, Steve Shives. Yep. So always get a chance to watch that. I've loved his videos for a couple of years now. So great content. But there's always great content here on this channel, especially when Davan and I are here. I personally think that the two of us really do lend the awesomeness to this channel. And of course, Davan, you have your own podcast, which is fantastic as well, which is Lookhooters of Trek. Look, you even have stickers to promote it. Like that's high class podcasting right there, my friend. You can't get better than that. Where you and your buddy's name is Dave as well, right?
Yep, I only work with Daves generally, so
a bunch of Daves. Yeah, there's a lot of Daves in Star Trek, but
these are the Daves I know.
You have some great shows like Debate 9, which is fantastic. I love watching that. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to be on it, but
sure.
The last time I couldn't because scheduling conflict, but one day. Anyway,
and I have my X-Men show. Check out X-Rated.
Oh, I totally forgot about
animated
that.
review show, which I don't have
X-Rated.
yet.
X-Rated.
We do that every Tuesday,
which isn't actually X-rated.
No,
but it is
not really
crazy. I think that might be a play on the words, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway.
What? Well, my co-host usually sneaks like one F-bomb into the episode just so I needlessly have to put it's explicit.
He probably does that on purpose to make sure he gets the right
drop
audience,
it out,
right?
But
But
anyway, check that out. We're into season 2. We just started season 2.
Good for you. Excellent. All right. Well, unless you have something else to say, I think it's time to sign off. I don't have any fancy soundboard, so I'm just going to say goodnight and live long and podcast.
Oh,
and prosper. Oh,
one thing. Remember when Rio said "make it so," but in his own language? That was very cool.
That was pretty cool too. Another nod, and then Girardi says something like, "What is it? What'd she say? Something like
living up to like the
living up to living reputation or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember the exact line, but
imitation is the best form.
Girardi didn't annoy me.
Like that.
Girardi didn't annoy me in this entire episode, guys, and I know that's something that a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. But anyway,
all right. Anyway, to derail the end there.
That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't matter. He should have known better than to put us in charge.
It's true.
Anyway, live long and podcast.
Make it show.
Make it show.